The Indian Armed Forces are the military forces of the Republic of India. It consists of 3 professional uniformed services: the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and Indian Air Force. Additionally, the Indian Armed Forces are supported by the Indian Coast Guard and paramilitary organizations and various inter-service commands and institutions such as the Strategic Forces Command, the Andaman and Nicobar Command, and the Integrated Defence Staff. The President of India is the Supreme Commander of the Indian Armed Forces. The Indian Armed Forces are under the management of the Ministry of Defence of the Government of India, with strength of over 1.4 million active personnel. It is the world's second largest military force and has the world's largest volunteer army. It also has the third largest defence budget in the world. As per 2015 Credit Suisse report, the Indian Armed Forces is the world's 5th most powerful military, whereas the 2020 Global Firepower report lists it as the 4th most powerful military. It is important to note that the Central Armed Police Forces, which are referred to as paramilitary forces, are not armed forces. As such, they are headed by civilian officers from the Indian Police Service and are under the control of the Ministry of Home Affairs, not the Ministry of Defence. These are central police organizations. The Indian Armed Forces have been engaged in a number of major military operations, including the Indo-Pakistani Wars of 1947, 1965 and 1971, the Portuguese-Indian War, the Sino-Indian War, the 1967 Chola Incident, the 1987 Sino-Indian Skirmish, the Kargil War, and the Siachen conflict, among others. India honors its armed forces and military personnel annually on Armed Forces Flag Day, the 7th of December. Since 1962, the IAF has maintained close military relations with Russia, including cooperative development of programs such as the 5th-generation fighter aircraft and the multi-role transport aircraft, armed with the nuclear triad. The Indian Armed Forces are steadily undergoing modernization, with investments in areas such as futuristic soldier systems and missile defense systems. The Department of Defense production of the Ministry of Defense is responsible for the indigenous production of equipment used by the Indian Armed Forces. It comprises the 41 Indian ordnance factories under the control of the Ordnance Factories Board, and 8 defense PSUs, namely HAL, BEL, BAMAL, BDL, MDL, GSL, GRSE and Midhani. India remains one of the largest importer of defense equipment, with Russia, Israel, France and the United States being the top foreign suppliers of military equipment. The Government of India has launched a Make in India initiative to indigenize manufacturing and reduce dependence on imports, including defense imports and procurement. India has one of the longest military histories, dating back several millennia. The first reference to armies is found in the Vedas as well as the epics Ramayana and Mahabharata. Classical Indian texts on archery in particular, and martial arts in general, are known as Dhanurveda. Indian maritime history dates back 5,000 years. The first tidal dock is believed to have been built at Lothal around 2300 BC during the Indus Valley Civilization period, near the present-day port of Mangrol on the Gujarat coast. The Rig Veda, written around 1500 BC, credits Varuna with knowledge of the ocean routes and describes naval expeditions. There is reference to the side wings of a vessel called Plava, which gives the ship stability in storm conditions. A compass, Matsya Yantra, was used for navigation in the 4th and 5th century AD. The earliest known reference to an organization devoted to ships in ancient India is in the Mauryan Empire from the 4th century BC. Powerful militaries included those of the Maurya, Satavahana, Chola, Vijayanagara, Mughal and Maratha Empire. Emperor Chandragupta Maurya's mentor and advisor Chanakya's Arthashastra devotes a full chapter on the State Department of Waterways under Navadhyaksha. The term Navadvi Pantaragamanam appears in this book in addition to appearing in the Vedic text Budhayana Dharma Shastra as the interpretation of the term Samudrasamyanam. Sea lanes between India and neighboring lands were used for trade for many centuries, and are responsible for the widespread influence of Indian culture on other societies. The Cholas excelled in foreign trade and maritime activity, extending their influence overseas to China and Southeast Asia. During the 17th and 18th centuries, the Maratha and Kerala fleets were expanded and became the most powerful naval forces in the subcontinent, defeating European navies at various times. The fleet review of the Maratha Navy, at which the ships Pal and Kabat participated, took place at the Ratnagiri fort. The Maratha Kanoji Angre and Kunjali Maraka, the naval chief of Samuthiri, were two notable naval chiefs of the period. The Royal Indian Navy was first established by The